Hey everyone, it's Sarah, and today I am back with part 2 of the Q&A questions that people commented. I still am having questions come in, and I wanted to try to make sure that I'm answering everybody's questions, so I did decide to do a part 2. I don't have quite as many questions today as I did the other day, but I am going to jump right in. So one of the first questions that was asked was, what is my favorite kind of music? Probably my favorite band of all time is Pink Floyd. I've been listening to them since I was tiny. I'm one of those kids that I grew up in a household with my parents constantly playing music. And we had a record player, so they were always putting on records, and I grew up with all of the rock and roll classics, the Rolling Stones, the Doors, the Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, just so many. And so that's the music that I really, really love. So yeah, I would say Pink Floyd is one of my favorite bands ever. And then my other favorite band is Muse. I have not listened to Muse though since they released this past album. I haven't even heard it, and I didn't even buy it. And part of that is I just haven't really had time. I haven't really been keeping up, but I love Muse. I've seen them in concert probably 10 times. They're my favorite. I just love their music, and yeah, so those are my favorite bands. So somebody asked me, when I make my own perfume, what am I going to create? I'm not totally sure yet, but I'm definitely probably going to create a gourmand to begin with. Maybe something vanilla based or some other kind of base, but probably a gourmand. I have ideas of other fragrances that I would love to play with. I want to play with a rose cucumber combination. Charlotte wanted to do a raspberry scent, and we came up with another. It was raspberry and something else. So yeah, we're definitely gonna play with a raspberry scent. But yeah, the first scent that I'm gonna create is probably gonna be some kind of a gourmand. And then somebody asked me what I wanted the bottles to look like. I'm not sure. Finding perfume bottles isn't the easiest thing in the world. A lot of them all look the same, and yeah, it's hard to find perfume bottles that are actually unique. I would probably have to have somebody manufacture one for me, so I haven't really crossed that bridge because I haven't even gotten a perfume put together yet, but as soon as I do, then I will start looking into bottles and labels and all of those things. Okay, somebody else asked me if I've ever experienced misogyny. Yes, absolutely. More than, I don't want to say more than anybody else, because I'm sure just as women, everybody at some point in their life is going to experience misogyny. But yeah, my last job that I had before I quit and came home was I worked at a BMW manufacturing plant. That is, don't get me wrong, there are as many women that work there as there are men, but it is still looked at as being a man's job. So as a woman working in that environment, you have to be better, faster, you just have to go above and beyond, and you have to do a better job than anybody, or you're not going to be taken seriously. And I remember when I first started working there, there was this one man, and I see him out every once in a while when I'm out and about going to Walmart. I've actually seen him at Walmart twice now, and he was so nasty to me when I first started. He would just, and here I was a grown woman. I was 34, I think, or 35 when I first started there. And this was a grown ass man that's probably 10 years older than me, that would literally taunt me and bully me and ask me every day why I was there, but because that's not a place for women, and all of this craziness. And I couldn't believe it, but because as a woman, you just had to work faster, harder, and be better than everybody else. That's what I did, and I eventually did end up gaining his respect, but it's ridiculous. I shouldn't have had to, because just as a human being existing, I should have been entitled to respect unless I had done something to lose his respect. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I've got 100 million stories like that. I could go on and on about experiencing misogyny because I have experienced it my whole life. Okay, somebody asked me, was my love for my mom's perfumes the reason I started my channel, and how did I learn about the notes? No, I actually didn't start this channel initially as a perfume channel. Initially, this was going to be like a true crime / makeup channel. I did one true crime story though, and because pretty immediately the family of the person that the video was about found the video and commented on it, I knew very quickly, I should say I felt very quickly the weight of the responsibility of talking about those stories. Because you have a responsibility to the families of the people that you're talking about. Well, the friends and the family. And thankfully they liked my video and it didn't cause them any pain. But if I had said the wrong thing or if I had approached it the wrong way, that could have easily caused them more heartache and pain. And because of that, I knew that I couldn't continue to do true crime just because I knew that I could handle it in the right way. And I knew that I could approach each case and speaking about each case in the correct way to make sure that I didn't harm anybody. But that's a huge responsibility. So yeah, I ended up just kind of doing makeup, and then from makeup it kind of segued into perfume. And it's funny because I didn't even realize that there were other people on YouTube talking about perfume. The makeup community is so huge that of course I knew there was a massive makeup community, but I didn't know anything about the perfume community. So as soon as I kind of started seeing other people make videos about perfume, then I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely what I want to do, because I'm definitely way more passionate about fragrance and perfume than I am about makeup. I love it all, don't get me wrong, but I'm way more passionate about perfume. So yeah, when I saw that there were other people making perfume videos, then that's when I started, and it didn't take long to just completely convert everything over to perfume because it comes easier to me than makeup does. And I understand, well, I shouldn't say I understand perfume better than I do makeup. I understand makeup just fine, but like, I don't know, there's something about perfume that's just super easy for me. It just comes very easily to me. So I would say my mom's perfumes, like when I was little, is what ignited a passion for fragrance for me. That I've carried throughout my entire life, and I guess eventually led to my YouTube videos. Okay, and then somebody asked, do I ever get overwhelmed with my collection and how do I manage it? Yes, I get overwhelmed with my collection all of the time because I have perfume everywhere, always. I've got bags and bags and bags of samples and decants. I've got probably 300 plus bottles of full-size bottles of perfume. I've got minis, I've got travel sprays, I've got just so much, and it does get overwhelming. And the best thing for me to do to be able to manage it is to declutter. If I look through my collection and I see, oh, I haven't looked at that perfume or even wanted to reach for it for a year or 2 years, then I make a mental note of it, I pull it out and I put it in a pile. And then eventually I'll have a big pile, which will become a declutter pile of fragrances that I just take out of my collection. I try with like my samples and decants and things, I try to continually organize it and put it into like Ziploc bags or drawers or bins, things like that, to try to help me keep on top of that. But yeah, my whole perfume area is basically controlled chaos. I know why everything is where it is, but if somebody came in and looked and saw this, they would be like, holy cow, I don't know how you know where anything is. But yeah, it does get overwhelming. And I mean, the best thing I can do is declutter and reorganizing though, and organizing things into like bins and Ziploc bags and things like that, that helps. It helps for me to know where everything is. Okay, and then the last question is, what did I do for a living before YouTube? So before I worked at BMW, I worked for Starbucks. I was a store manager for Starbucks for 9 years. I really loved that job. Sometimes I miss it. I would never go back and do it again, but sometimes I miss it. I miss the people that I had worked with for years and years, people that I saw every single day and had seen every single day for, 5 years prior or 7 years. I do miss that aspect of it. I do not miss dealing with the public though. I would say like 90% of the people that would come in were super nice and perfectly fine to deal with, but it's that 10% of like Karens that are terrible and that just want to make everybody's life difficult that they come into contact with. That was really hard to deal with. And then seeing people like that would treat your coworkers badly, but then they would ask to see the manager. So like I would have to go over to them and try to appease them, even though I just saw them be abusive to a coworker. And that was a really, really hard thing for me to do, because of course your instinct is to stick up for the person that you know and love and that didn't even do anything wrong, and you saw the whole situation and you saw that they didn't even do anything wrong. But as the manager, you have to make it right with the customer, even though the customer is like completely out of line and awful. That was a really hard thing for me to deal with. So yeah, I kind of miss it, but I really don't miss it. I miss the free pound of coffee a week. I do miss that. And then after I quit Starbucks, I went to BMW, to the manufacturing plants. Most of my time there I got very lucky. Most of my time there was spent either driving the cars around out in the yard. I only had to spend 1 year and I worked there for 7 years, and I only spent 1 out of those 7 years actually working on the production line, which is very, very difficult work, and I would not recommend it to anybody. But yeah, that's what I did. And then when I quit there, the last thing I was doing was I was building hybrid batteries. So it was all right. It was, the money was good. That's the only reason I stayed for as long as I did. But at some point you realize that money does not matter if you're miserable, if you're breaking down your body every day, and if you literally don't want to get out of bed because you just don't want to go to that place anymore, then it's just not worth it, and it's time for a life change. So that's the point that I got to, and I finally just quit. And thankfully, I'm very, very blessed and grateful to be able to just stay at home now. I do YouTube, I do Walmart delivery, and I just recently started doing data annotation. And I'm very, very happy doing all of those things from home. I get to stay home with my daughter. I get to homeschool her, and I'm always here, and I don't feel like somebody else is raising my child. And so for that, I am super, super grateful. But anyways, you guys, I think that is it. I think those are all of the rest of the questions. I do hope that you all enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.